So here you're talking about the man and woman relationship, and we've been talking about the child-man psyche being in men so far with the examples that you've given. But in your book you also talk about how this particular psyche can also show itself up among women.
That's right. Yeah.
And
it does.
Yeah,
and it's an integral part of every human being, also of women.
And so what happens? What kind of things do you see?
Well, it becomes a little more complex.
Okay.
One, because pursuit of prowess is traditionally more associated with men rather than women.
And is that why you call the child man and not the child woman?
Since it's, it's associated more with men than with women. This dimension, when it is displaced in a woman, right, has two aspects. One, it invites a lot more hostility. Right? A typical example, of course, of banditry, right? Where the rage of the oppressed woman and the hostility which it encounters when she takes the path of pursuit of prowess.
To take revenge as well.
To take revenge in many of these things. On the other hand, one positive thing is that for women, pursuit of prowess does not become compensatory.
Okay. What do you mean by that?
Well, what I mean by that is that both men and women are prone to performance anxiety.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But biologically, it's more so for men than it is for women.
Yes.
Alright? So therefore, their own identity of themselves is not so much linked to performance for women, and therefore it does not have the same compensatory element. So if I was to put in a nutshell, in a man, the child man becomes a source for affirming your gender identity, that I am a man. Oftentimes in women, it becomes a negation of one's gender identity.
That I'm not a typical woman.
Yes, that's right. So it's in one is that you are, holding on to your gender identity. The other is you're trying to escape.
Yourself.
That's right.
Yeah. And towards the end of the book, you also have a chapter which talks about befriending the child man in human beings and engaging with it. So would you want to talk a little about that?
Just to say in a nutshell, I think there are two central themes there. One is that in order to befriend the child man, we would need to seriously revisit our notion of maturity. Because quite often we tend to look at maturity essentially as an interface concept. Right? In terms of how well one is managing one's relationships, not getting perturbed by certain things, remaining anchored in yourself, cool, composed, not getting ruffled. That's the notion of maturity that it's like a dam. It's like a dam for managing and controlling and channelizing the flow of emotions which is within you. And unfortunately, concepts such as emotional intelligence and emotional quotient have added to such a
have reinforced that.
Have reinforced this frame of maturity. I think if one needs to befriend the child man, not that this interface thing is not important, it is, but that's not the only element. The more equally significant element of maturity is what's happening to your inner ecology. Different facets of yourself, right? Nourishing them, valuing them, cherishing them, and fostering them. Because otherwise what happens, that your inner landscape becomes totally dry. You have nothing really to fall back upon within yourself. And all the time, you are looking at the external world. Right? One of the reasons, for instance, today avoidance of pain has become such a big thing for many human beings, is because they really don't know what to do.
But how to handle it.
How to handle it, and what to, they have even lost the ability to heal themselves and each other. And if your internal ecology is gone, your healing capacity will also. So therefore, unless we also look at maturity as a construct for fostering your inner ecology and not just for managing your interface, it will be impossible to befriend the child. The second significant thing is, I think, is the balance between patricentricity and metricentricity has gone totally out. The world has become almost totally patricentric. We are finding some freedom from patriarchy, yes, but I think we are finding that freedom from patriarchy primarily because women are becoming more patricentric. Right? So unless the balance between patricentricity and metricentricity is restored, it will be very difficult. Now if you look at the child man, he is extremely patriarchal, but he is not patricentric.
Yes.
And in today's world, which is becoming very patricentric, right, and not very patriarchal, right, he's totally out of place. Now you can't go back to patriarchy, that will be regression. All that you can do is to restore the balance between the patricentric and the metricentric orientations.
I actually we could talk for hours over this book because it seems very interesting the way in which, not just in its conceptual framework, but also in the way you've laid it out and you've built upon it, starting with the narratives about the lives of the three characters, then moving on to analyzing them, looking at their various angles, and talking about how the modern man finds how to engage with this particular psyche. But who do you see as an author? Who do you see your likely reader? Is there a particular reader you have in mind? Or?
Well, I've written it for a general reader.
Okay.
Right? How readable it will be and how much interest you would find, I cannot say.
Yeah.
But my intention has been to write it for people who are interested in themselves, who are interested in looking at the present human condition, who like to think about these things. And I've tried to keep it as jargon-free as I possibly. There will be some, but hopefully not too much. And my, if you call it a target audience, has been more of a general reader who's willing to think a little bit about himself and the world that he lives in. That's it.
Also, actually, I have one last question before we end this. You have put in a lot of yourself as well in the book, really towards the end. You talk about yourself, your growing up, your experiences. And how easy or difficult did that come to you?
Well, firstly, the piece that I have written about myself, I was not in touch with it. I was not very much aware. I had some glimpses of it, right? But many aspects of it, I came to the surface while I was writing the book. Right? So since it came while I was writing the book, I thought it's only, in a sense, fair for me to also share that. The second, and that was a more, if I may say, logical reason for putting it, is that since I'm talking about the present human context, and there are multiple ways in which one can look at the present human context, right? I think it's only fair that the reader should know who's this person who's writing about the present. From what location is he looking at that present?
Where is his location in all of this?
Unless
he
they
can't
have
just be a bystander.
Absolutely. Because otherwise you can have n number of interpretations about the present human context. So it's, whenever one talks of the context, it's important to also make a statement about yourself.
Okay, thank you, Ashok. We're all looking forward to the first launch of the book in Bangalore on June 11th. So I'm hoping that it will be a very interesting interaction that we will have with the audience. We also have a prelude performance that is ready, and I guess all the best. So everybody who's watched this video before June 11th and happens to be in Bangalore on June 11th, 6:30, we hope we'll see you at Crossword, where the book launch and the performance is going to happen. So please do come. Thank you.
Thank you, Arun. Thank you very much.